So hello and welcome back to another Assetto Corsa Competizione video. Now, as you can see, we're here at this special event, the one and only special event that we've got. And I'm just running some more laps, trying to see where the car's different in its setup, how we can adjust the setup to get it running a little bit like. I think having ran this session, I'm probably about maybe 2 or 3 tenths now away from my previous best. Now we know 1.8 is slower than the previous 1.7 14.0 on console, and it's definitely I can't really see anybody getting into the low 141s anymore. But I always thought I had a 141 in me in the previous version of the game, but I've come close to probably matching what I'd previously set, which I don't think is too bad considering the game is supposed to be slower. A number of adjustments with the setup, as you can imagine. Probably a tiny bit more rake on the car, much softer through the suspension. You really can tell, especially like over these jumps and everything, as you can see there. Probably going to watch the fastest lap I've set just now. But the suspension really does like to run much softer. As soon as you start adjusting the anti-roll bars and making the car much stiffer, especially as the car leans through the corners, the softer it is, it sort of allows, if you imagine these are the front two wheels, as you lean through the corner, if you've got a really stiff anti-roll bar, it kind of tips one of the wheels off the circuit. So with softening out the anti-roll bars much softer than usual, it just sort of leaves that wheel slightly touching it. It really does feel like it adds more grip. There's just little subtleties like that I feel like I can feel more through the force feedback. Now I know my last video was a huge criticism of 1.8, and like I've said to many people, and I do thank you all for the participation you put into the comment section, the stuff that's on the Assetto Corsa console Facebook group. There's so much conversation went on in those coming days after the release of 1.8. I really do thank everyone that put a comment on. It really does help all the algorithms, people talking about the video and whatnot. But I really did just rip into the faults within this game. But even just looking at the grass there as we come through this replay, it really does look quite nice now. I have changed onto running this in 1440p. I have got a 1440p monitor, but it is capable of running 4K. But it runs 4K obviously at 60 frames, and I'm sure it's running 1440p at 60 frames. Although it says on my monitor right now 120 frames, it sort of drops there, 113 frames. But I'm going to show you this setup that I've used. I will put the fastest lap. I wasn't filming myself driving at the time when I did it. I will do a quick lap and show you sort of how I'm attacking the circuit. But we'll just quickly look over the setup for anyone that's wanting this setup. So we'll return back to the garage. If you just look at the timetable as well, you can just see how many laps I've kind of put in, where I sort of started out, and just gradually knocking about a second off that lap time, maybe a tiny bit more. Obviously you're always trying to run perfect laps, and as you can see there's quite a few 42s before I started hitting low 42s, just really dialing the car in to what it was capable of doing really. So let's look over this setup. I will just quickly save this setup just for my own personal benefit. I have seen that there's a lot of time waiting in between these loading setups as well. As you can see, that previous special event, I'm not at 141.9, but I did feel that 149 was what the setup was capable of doing. So I always call these 1.8.1.0, so I know what version of the game I use, and I've set a 142.6, we call it 600, optimum conditions and 36 Celsius track temperature, which always gives you an idea then when you come into a race what you can kind of expect, obviously if you're hitting it absolutely flat out. So just quickly going through the setup, I'm not going to dive too deep into what settings have done what. Obviously there's this glitch in 1.8. Supposedly if you run maximum tow it is faster. I can't say I've tried it massively. I didn't really notice a great difference. I was running previously traction control 4, but I just feel like the car slides around a bit still too much with TC4, so I've opted to TC6. Obviously tyres, if we can just look back through how they're wearing, just done a number of laps on those, so they're not wearing too badly. But anti-roll bars definitely really soften the car out at front and at the rear, increase the preload differential at the rear as well. I think this was down at about 80 from my previous setup. Just feels like the car wasn't transitioning well enough between off throttle and on throttle with a lower preload, and it just seems to roll through the sharp hairpin seems to roll through there better with this slightly higher preload, which is unusual really. Brake balance slightly adjusted this just so that it's not tweaking at the rear end too much as you come through the very fast sort of double right-hander and then up the hill. And the dampers, I really do feel like the dampers are working how they should work now. So you sort of setting a lower, your rebound is higher than your bump in all scenarios. It just seems to be working better that way, which I think is how it should work in reality. It didn't used to work that way in this game. I would always be going very much sort of equal with my bump and rebound. I'd probably do the same like that, but it does seem to work much better. Obviously I can't double the rebound from the bump because it's 8 and we're maxed out at 11. But moving to the ride height, probably raise the ride height a tiny bit more, a little bit more rake from the rear of the car lifting to give that sort of manoeuvrability more, and just slightly lowered the rear wing to give us less downforce at the rear. But it does feel like there's more downforce at the rear of the car in 1.8 for me. I did feel in the Ferrari at Spa that I could reduce the rear downforce a tiny bit more. But just looking to get more rotation from the setups, I think. So I'll run a quick lap just to show you sort of how I'm attacking the circuit. And one other thing we will just quickly look at, I did go into the options menu and the controls. I did try numerous things in here, resetting to defaults, resetting all the bindings. Obviously you can see down in the bottom section you can press the home button, which is obviously a save setup menu button, so you do know what the symbol looks like on screen. But yeah, this button would reset all the current bindings, which I was hoping would reset this issue we've got look left and look right, which we cannot assign. But I did try doing that and I thought I'd solved it, but it still didn't. I was still looking left and right when I'm pressing. So my pit limiter button is the B button, and I always struggle to remember which button is my X button on here because I've got different symbols on them for turbos and stuff like that on my wheel. But one button, in fact I will be able to tell you which button it is. So if we come down just using my keyboard, it's much quicker. So yeah, the X button, my X button will look left and my B button will look right. It doesn't matter what they assign them to. Other functions on the wheel, I cannot stop them performing that function. So yeah, that's just the way it is. But I did try numerous things, loading and saving different setups from the old BMW M4 GT3 setup I got there. It hasn't seemed to have saved all my other previous ones, so I have just kind of renamed setup down the bottom. And I always suggest loading the setup. It doesn't matter how many times I seem to come in here. For some reason I've got this double setup now where X and X. So I'll just reassign that. That was a bit of a weird one, wasn't it? But yeah, I just have my pit limiter as B, and those are the only buttons really I use on my wheel. I tend to use the MFD most of the time for everything else. So coming back, we'll just do a quick lap. The brake pedal really does turn this car. Downshift too early, and it really just caused the rear of the car to lock up. Long hold through the gear shifts. And braking nice and early for turn 1. Really get the car settled before we turn in. Clipping the apex on the power. You can already see the Ghost nicely ahead. Bit of brake pedal dab, trying to get this inside line. Braking just at the board. A final shift down into first gear through there and then back on the power. Running out wide. A long way off my Ghost. Braking at the 50-yard board. Just down into second. Picking up that inside curb and then back on the power. Really hugging this inside. Using the curb. A slight touch of brake and we're out of control. So it's things like that you really need to pay attention to if you're braking and turning at the same time. Obviously I'm talking while I'm trying to drive here, but something that you could probably do to negate that. Let's just return back to the garage. Obviously you could slightly increase the brake bias so it's more towards the front of the car, so you're not unsettling the rear of the car too much. You could always just kind of drop the rear end of the car just to give it a little bit more stability through the rear end, but that's going to stop the car turning as well. But we could also just drop the anti-roll bar at the rear to give it less of an oversteer tendency. So we've really softened it fully out now, and we've stiffened, or we've brought the front end braking a little bit more to try and stop that rear end feeling so unstable through that corner. Obviously the more oversteer you can get from a car, really it's going to be quicker because it's going to rotate much better. But for trying to get a car more stable so you can do consistent lap times, sometimes having a car that oversteers too much is really going to cause you a handful during a race. So let's just see how this one runs. I'll try not to talk too much. See him still ahead. Big cut through there, you can. So just about level with our Ghost. Oh, really holding on there. You can see the lines I'm sort of taking. I just come off the traction control there. You can see my issue with turning left. One of my buttons that are assigned. And you can see instantly really the understeer that we've sort of introduced by doing this rear wing. And as much as it's a pain in the arse sometimes, having that little bit of oversteer really does rotate the car much better. So that's probably why I've ended up on there. Obviously we've still got that slightly increased brake balance. So I'm just going to put that back and we'll make that tiny adjustment around the lap, just to give us more stability through that very fast section. Because I think the brake balance is fine as it is, to be fair. Oh, still quite a bit of understeer. But obviously that's to do with road positioning as well. It does feel like there's quite a bit of understeer still, obviously in this new version of the game. But on other areas it really does feel much better. The handling model, the physics, the tyre flex, the dampers. They have done a great job with it as a simulator, especially for us guys on console. Really scruffy through there. And you can see what happens if you go too eager into shifting down. You really unsettle the rear end of the car. It feels quicker, but it's certainly not, because you're losing so much traction. It really does need to be like a smooth downshift within the rev range. Don't be too eager to downshift unless you're in a straight line. It's not too bad in a straight line. Still behind, we're catching our ghost a little bit. You can't hit the first two. You can only go between those two bollards. So this is what hot lapping looks like, really. You're always just trying to get absolute maximum out of the car. I know we're doing a few laps here. I would like to do a little bit more on another setup, to be honest. 18 minutes in. A terrible run through there. Too busy talking. So you could just make that little tweak. Ah. Hate that corner. Hate it. I don't think anybody likes that corner, especially not Charles Leclerc. So look at that, a long way off Bower Ghost. I really would like to set a better lap than that, to be honest. So let's go for it. Max out again, 62.4 brake balance. Let's try and nail this. Really does feel like it's just understeering like mad. So let's try and do something about this on the fly. Let's just increase some of this rear. So we're getting more emphasis on an understeering, on an oversteering car. We're stiffening the rear end, trying to make the car oversteer. Remember, oversteer isn't going to be our friend through that high speed section, so you really have your wits about you. So much understeer, low speed. That could obviously be down to the preload, but we have lowered it. Just having to come out of the power there. Just fighting for front end grip. Feels like an age before you get on the power. Not really. I want to go around that corner. Fun though, but certainly don't want to drift around there. So again, you start to see where the problems are with setting a car up. When can you make changes? I think that needs to go back. Fundamentally, I think it's going to come down to a brake balance issue. 62.8. Keeping the car stable whilst going through there is a very tough job. You could try adding a little bit more rear downforce maybe, just to try and make it more stable. Obviously we're going to impact top end speed, but one click of rear wing doesn't really make a massive difference overall. Let's have another go. I don't expect to be able to beat my Ghost while I'm chatting. I really don't. Obviously you've got full concentration when you're setting these laps. So you can see the difference straight line speed makes. Not a great deal. You could see there, I was just too eager coming into the corner, carrying too much speed, so you're out of shape coming in. It looks like you've carried loads more speed into the first corner, but in essence you've just made yourself out of shape for the next corner. And the next corner is kind of more important than the first corner coming in, because that's when you're on the power and you're exiting the corner. But we're still trying to carry a lot of speed through turn one. See again, just way too much speed on corner entry. Come on, Jay. I tend not to go up to 6th gear because it's just another gear to come down. That's better. Don't really want to clip that curb. much better. Obviously you can see just running that tiny bit wide. And I'd just, like I say, switch to traction control 1 to come off there. Just trying to get as much power down as you can. You see I come down, really did use the gears to get the car to slide through that last section. Sometimes feels a bit quicker. Not sure whether it is or not, to be honest, through there. A terrible run through there. Just carrying too much speed on the corner entry. And then it really does ruin corner exit. I'll have one more run. Obviously I'm not trying to beat my Ghost. See there, 142.276 was my best previous. Sometimes feels like a really good exit off there, but it's not. Really did have a good run through there. Tiny bit quicker maybe than my Ghost. Not quick enough. Yeah, not quite there. But yes, I really do enjoy the hot laps. I really do. So disappointed that there isn't any more special events for 1.8. It really is. I'm trying to think of the word. Disappointing. That's all I could say, really. Thoroughly enjoying the game, don't get me wrong. If you enjoy playing offline, currently ACC is fantastic. If you just enjoy doing things like this or doing your own special events. So I'll come back out of there. Obviously you could see a couple of little changes that we made to the setup. If you want me, I will just quickly go through the setup again. Just for anyone that's come late, obviously just stop it where you need to. Not sure we've made any great changes, but obviously you could see the changes that I was making did make some difference to the problem areas. So what to go and do next? I really would like, with it being Suzuka weekend, I really would like to just do a setup at Suzuka. So we will do a hot lap session. Let's have a little look at Suzuka. I would like to choose another car, to be honest, because I've been in the Ferrari for quite a while. So I think I'll go back to the Bentley, to be honest. I'm not sure why we can't run any other. Yep, if we go, no, sorry, if we go to the Bentley, oh, we can only choose the one colour for the Bentley. That's great. Okay, so 201 was the previous fastest. Obviously we've got different weather conditions. Obviously we're going to run optimum, bring the temperature down because everyone always does, to try and show how fast they are. Yeah, let's have a go at that. Try and find a quick setup within half an hour. I think hour-long videos are fairly normal, aren't they, in my channel? Obviously, I'll choose the previous aggressive setup, unless I've actually got a setup. No setup saved. So something that I'll probably do, some things that I'll do initially. I think we used to run traction control 5 at Silverstone in the Bentley. I'd always tend to go with a higher steering ratio initially, and if I feel like it needs to come down, I'll bring it down. It's already quite a high brake bias. I'll not mess with the dampers at this stage. Obviously we can always close out the rear brake ducts a little bit, and obviously we've got a fair bit of rear wing. So yeah, let's just see how that feels. Obviously I've adjusted all these views that you're seeing. I don't know what settings, those are settings I'm using for my current view. Jumping from one car to another always does feel a bit weird. Whoa, loads of oversteer on power out. You see, instantly I applied the brake pedal, just absolute instant oversteer on corner entry, which is always the problem with brake balance. So let's bring it up straight away, and the traction control felt like better on 7. So two things very instantly for me. And the steering feels super unresponsive, having come from the Mercedes. Obviously tyre pressures make a difference. Lots and lots of understeer. Lots of oversteer. So we've got loads of rotation coming when you're on the power. Probably should have come down to second gear there. Loads of understeer through there. So the way you start out setting a car up is literally by what I'm doing now, just things that you can feel as you're driving round. You can feel the car slightly rotating as I get on the power, and that's all you're trying to do really. Find out oversteer from understeer, areas, fast sections, slow sections. Can you carry things sort of flat out? Obviously, if you don't know the circuit, it's going to be even harder to learn to set a car up. So we've got an initial 204. Very out of shape all the way through there. Whoa. Gonna be a faster lap anyway. Always trying to sweep the car sort of out wide through that chicane. Obviously remember you can't do that in a race. You're just sort of leaving the door wide open if someone's attacking you anyway. So I'm probably thinking at this point, lower the preload, do something with the anti-roll bars, try and stop that oversteer effect. But we could also lower the rear wing. So let's have a look what the preload's doing. So the preload's already fairly low. So I'm going to lower it even further. A couple of clicks even further. Anti-roll bar. Like I said, we're understeering as well, but we're oversteering as well. So we could try and lower the rear end a touch. Give us a little bit more stability at high speed. Maybe soften the front end, try and stop that understeer, sorry. A little bit more on the brake balance, I think. And to give us a little bit more feeling about what the car's doing. It feels very sluggish turning in comparison to having just been driving the Mercedes. So a couple of little subtle changes. And already that feels more responsive. Just a little bit of brake here and there. Oh, just running wide there. Couple of corners to get rid of that off the tyres. Hear the traction control just going just stopping you get the power off that corner. certainly a corner that struggles with grip. Just a little lift there, I think. Obviously we had a fair old section of running wide. Same section really. Just a lot of understeer. More understeer issues than oversteer at the minute. So you just swap into traction control 1 as you come off there. Lots less the old technical term. But you can see even in traction control 6 just how much it's wanting to turn the car. It's wanting to really rotate the car. I'm just going to try a little lift through here. That's not too bad. Second gear's too much. Just way too much. Let's go to options, controls, and just change that. Shoulder's killing me. See that? It's just ruining the lap. So you can see when I'm putting the power down, that old as you're coming off the corner. Just holding that gear too long just doesn't allow the car to slow down enough. So definitely dropping down to second for that one. And just a little lift through here. You can see those front brakes. I mean, look at them front brakes. Just getting way too cool. So let's close out this front brake duct. Obviously, not really looked at the tyre temperatures yet either. I've not really focused on them just yet. We know tyre temperatures are so important. Just trying to do a really quick setup. 15 minutes left on this setup. Just somewhere to start. Does feel quite nice through there. Some cars take that corner really well and they really don't get disturbed by that curb. I think it really does depend a lot on the dampers, the curb sections. Just checking. Let's see how we go through here again. So tyre temperatures are absolutely miles away really, aren't they? So we'll address those now. Set another lap there. So let's go straight into this setup and get these somewhere they should be. So it's 26.9. I would prefer to see 27.9 if anything else. So we can see 25.9. So let's just go to 26.9 and knock it down one. So hopefully that's going to give us 27.8. So again, 57. So let's go to 67. 26.8. Let's go to 26.8. That should give us 27.8, 27.1. So let's go to. We only want to add 6 more on this one. So we'll just give that 6 more clicks. 7 for good luck. We can see we've got a tiny bit more we can use at the rear wing, always maxing out those cambers. Anything else that really stands out? Obviously it's that understeer issue that we're still thinking about. So let's just changing the characteristics, not particularly changing much of the balance. And let's just make these changes to the dampers. Obviously we can see 20, so let's go 20. Let's change all these because I don't imagine they've changed them. And let's go from those sort of values. So we're going to be around there somewhere. 18, so looking for say something like that. 36 is it? Keeping that same kind of balance. We go for 30. Still got a fairly low. And that's the other thing that annoys me on this as well. That I've not got Ratmaster up here anymore. That used to be the player name. For some reason, it's gone to the driver. So let's see what those changes would make. Does feel very loose at the rear. Feels pretty good. Tyre pressure's a little bit too much. Just trying to get off that corner with a bit more power.
Well done, mate. That's my fastest lap.
A bit slower coming off there. Quite a bit slower. Just shows you how much difference going through there too quickly. So let's return back to the garage. We'll just have a look at the replay, to be honest, because we're getting very close to that hour target. I do like to not go over the hour. So you can see we've got a setup that we can actually start working with. We're in the 201s. I think it's a good ballpark to start working from. Obviously there's a lot you can do with regards to tweaking the setup much further. Obviously you can see the tyre pressures that do make a huge difference are just a tiny bit outside the proper operating window. Maybe we could get coming out of that corner a little bit tighter. The rear end does feel a little bit unstable, but it's got a really nice bit of rotation on the car. But obviously wherever you're sliding you're losing acceleration. Obviously you're reaching maximum levels of grip and you're exceeding that, so you've got potential power that you could be using that's not being put into the circuit. So maybe a little bit more downforce could be the answer. Who knows? But there's a nice little setup, I think, for people to work with. and I'll try and create more setups as and when I get a chance. I'm a very busy man this week, back doing a little bit of training, trying to progress into another sector of my work. But thank you for watching, thank you for sticking with the hour-long video. I'm sure it'll be worth it if you've gleaned any sort of information from this video. Thank you for watching. Please do like and subscribe. If you're not a member of the channel, please do hit that subscribe button, share the video, leave comments in the comments section. I really do love to read them, all your great comments. It's a pleasure to answer a lot of them, and it's a pleasure to read a lot of them. But thanks again, thank you for watching. Fingers crossed we get some more updates to 2.8. It solves a lot of issues people are struggling with just now. Till next time, ciao for now.